Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Naval Action. So I'm here in my third rate. This is a teak build third rate. I like them fast. But anyways, the topic of today's video, so a while ago, actually today is what, the 10th of June? 11th of June, if I upload this on the right day, Saturday. Don't forget that Trafalgar later today. In 4 hours if this is uploaded in the correct time and date. But anyway, so the 2nd of June the devs posted crew management, how they wanna implement crew management. And I'm not talking about crew management as in down here in the corner. I'm talking more about in this case we're talking about hiring of crew and things like that. Crew outside of battle management. There we go. So, the devs in that post, they described the forthcoming changes to the crew system in Naval Action. So, I'll go through the changes proposed. And then I'll discuss, like I did with the provisions thing. So, this is the things that will happen. Crew will have to be hired for certain price for the sailor. Crew will be lost if you sink or blow up. Crew will become persistent between battles. Players will be provided with 43 sailors at the start of the game, which cannot be lost, to support new players and such, and if you lose everything. Of course, this number could also go up to a certain limit. Crew, that's a possibility. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. Crew will be available for hire in all ports that you can enter. And sorry, I thought for a moment that my microphone was muted. Wouldn't be the first time that that has happened. And won't be the last. But anyways, crew will have to be assigned to ships that you capture to be able to use them. Ships that you capture will have to have a crew to be transported back to port. That's the idea. And there will be only 2 options for the ship you capture. You can add it to your fleet, so it seems with this feature, fleets are gonna be back in some way. Or you can sink them. Notice that this is proposed crew system. And I don't know when it will happen. It could happen next patch, it could happen in 10 patches, I don't know. Ooh, that hurts. So, examples of how the system works, which the devs were nice enough to put up. So, if you capture a Trinco in a Constitution, for example, you will have to assign a certain amount of crew to the Trincobile and sail back undercrewed in both ships to port. And once you arrive at port, you can hire crew again, so that you can fully crew the Connie. If your group has lost crew in a battle, and since crew is persistent, the following battle you'll have less crew, so you could possibly be more vulnerable. And you can also use it to your advantage to attack more vulnerable targets. So, and also, if you sail a cutter and your friend captures a Santissima for you, if you claim it, you won't be able to sail it because the Santissima minimum crew, so every ship will have a minimum crew, is above 40, so you would have to sink her. One thing that this also means is that all the ships has a minimum crew, so you can't sail a ship unless you reach that minimum. So certain ships you'll have to be above a certain rank to sail, unlike how it is now, where you can literally sail a Santissima at 40 crew. So that'll be a nice change when that comes out, possibly, maybe, I don't know. So, here, it means some things, it has some consequences as well. As I mentioned, fleets could come back, which is nice. AI ship capture, well, fleets were a pain in the ass for PvP, but I'll get to that discussion later when I'm done with all the things that Admin has said. Ship capture from AI could be back, but would be limited. That would definitely be nice. You can't teleport ships to outposts anymore. Like now you could do the smuggler thing or attack a trader and capture that and then send take command of the trader and send your ship to an outpost far away. You can't do that anymore. Which would, to a certain extent, promote open world sailing of your ships. Maintenance for heavy ship, or crew costs basically, will go up, since you need to, if you are in a fight in a Santissima, in my Santissima in a fleet mission, I regularly lose like 200 crew. You would not lose 200 crew in a surprise in a fleet mission. And if you lose the Santissima, you lose 1050 crew. Oops, didn't mean to open that. Oh, there's Pavel. I don't want to sit broadside to broadside with him. So yeah, it means that the maintenance of more expensive ships will go up, which with the provision system proposed by the devs will also happen. And like I said, losing a first rate. If you lose the first rate, for example the Santissima, you lose 1050 crew. Ouch. If you lose, say, a surprise, that's 250 crew. That's nothing. Well, it's something, but it's a quarter of, sorry about that, of what you would lose if you were to lose a Santissima. And I think this, I'm unsure if the losing of all your crew is for when you lose durability or when you lose the ship. I imagine it's for when you lose the durability, but with the old system proposed by the devs, you only lost if you lost all your durabilities. So, expanding on the consequences this would have. So obviously more expensive larger ships would be more expensive, which I am all in favor for. I like persistent crew. There was a period where there was persistent crew in the open world. I'm pretty sure, if I don't remember wrongly, that was before early access. And it was fine. You also had a surgeon at that time, and that means we might see the return of surgeon, hopefully not in an OP way, and hopefully limited. What more does it mean? And I imagine that surgeons in the open world would work very much like repair kit, that you can repair all the way to the max, possibly, or limited. I think the argument for limited is to be made both from a realistic standpoint, as you can't exactly get people from the dead, basically. And the argument for a full system can also be made, since, well, you can do it with repair kits now, why can't you just do it with crew as well? It's not like you could historically fully repair a ship at sea either. So, But, of course, I don't know if they'll actually introduce a surgeon with such a system, but I hope that we will see the reintroduction of the surgeon if we have such a system. Of course, the fleets thing, I think that's debatable, since fleets were first of all disabled in the later levels due to the pain in the arse they were for PvP, because they got in the way for both your enemy and you, but you had to have them, because if not, you would be fighting three enemies instead of your own instead of 1v1 like you have now in later ranks. At least it would be 3v3 or 1v3 or any combination, so you were kind of forced to have fleets. However, what this system would allow, what the devs are proposing, is that the fleets you can still only command the amount of people that you have. You can command, so if you're max rank 1100 people, you can still only command 1100 people, except it's across more ships. So you could command, for example, 2 Ingemalans, that's 940 crew. You could do 2 Santissimas as well. However, each Santissima will only have 550 crew, or anything in between. You can, the devs have said that you can just choose how many. That's the idea, at least, that you would get the option to choose how many people you want on each crew, on each ship. But it still does not solve the problem of fleets being a must. Especially, like, a lot of people in the open world, a lot of people sail around with Connies, Trinkos, Rattlesnakes, small ships. So, if you're a max rank, and max rank people do that a lot, you can easily put 3 Rattlesnakes and fully crew them. So that would again put... force people, or not force... Yeah, it would practically force people to do free ships, free AI. And honestly, fleets, this is my opinion, fleets is great for learning the game. They're great support for when you're learning the game, and for when you're playing against AI. Like, these guys help me a lot. Granted, they're not my fleet. However, in PvP, I think they're bad for the game. And I would prefer to see... Basically, keep it as it is. It's a low rank feature. If you capture ships, however, they're added to your fleet, sure, until you enter port. When you enter port with an outpost. But when you enter port, you have to put the ship in the outpost, for example, or maybe when you enter port, you get the option to... No, that wouldn't work. That would kind of be counteractive. But either way, that it would be put in outpost, or if you enter a port and you don't have an outpost there, you get the option to put an outpost there, or sell that captured ship, or, well, destroy it, sink it. That I think is better, since I'm not a fan of the fleet system. But either way, this crew system would allow the fleet system to come back in some form. I'm not a fan of it. I like fleets for PvE. However, the fact that... So maybe in PvE server, the argument can be made for having it enabled. However, in PvP server, I'd rather see it kept disabled. I think that would be the wiser choice. But that's only my opinion, of course. And yours might vary. For... I lost my train of thought now. But one... Yeah. Good thing, though, is the fleet AI capture comeback. Since a lot of people were disappointed that you couldn't capture AI. I'm not too disappointed. However, I get it why some people are disappointed. The reason I'm not disappointed is that it allowed for more fleet variety. However... I was always of the opinion that the lower ranks, you should still just be able to capture AI. So say up to a 5th rate or a 4th rate ship, you can capture AI ships. That was, of my opinion, that should be a thing. However, I wouldn't want all the way up. I wouldn't want you to be able to capture Santissima AI. Because, of course, if you capture 1st rate, no way in hell the Admiralty is going to let you keep that 1st rate. So I think partially that if AI capture with limitations were to return, and honestly I don't think this system necessarily is needed for that to be good, but either way, seeing AI ship capture returning for the lower levels is, in my opinion, a good thing. Of course, it would be, for the most part, I think it would kind of make it pointless for shipbuilders of the lower rank, so I hope they keep it to basic ships. And no better. No better. No better. Only basics. That's my hope. And now, of course, the ships having to be in your fleet, though, if that becomes a thing. Then the good thing is there will be more traffic in the open world. Which, more traffic in the open world means more opportunities for PvP. So, that I can't complain about. So, overall, I like it. The fleet part... the fleet part, I can't get along with the fleet part. I'm not a fan of the fleet. It's good for PvE and that's where it stops. It should not go further. So I hope that the extent of the fleets get to that your ship you capture will be part of the fleets until you get to the ports or something like that. That's what I hope that fleets will be. Nothing more. I'm not a fan of the fleets. Other than that, I like it. I like persistent crew. If they don't like it, they can always change it. I like having to hire crew makes more expensive. I don't like it exactly, but it makes larger ships more expensive. Also, another thing some people told me about in the previous video, first rates aren't used a lot, and I hope that in port battles and such, and I hope that a system like this will allow the promotion of using first rates in both port battles, that they will open up deep water port battles to first rates again. Possibly, maybe. Or at least that there'll be more uses for first rates, since apart from fleet missions and the other regional capitals, first rates are pretty useless right now, I'll admit. But I hope that eventually we'll get to the point where they can either be back in more port battles, or there will be some other use promoting the use of first rates, since there has been a lot of talk about limiting the use of first rates. However, we can't exactly go, I'm going to escape from this battle, I'm taking a hammering. But there has been a lot of talk about limiting the use of first rates. I think promoting the use of first rates in certain aspects should also be a thing, since I know first rates were a rare sight. However, we don't want to disincentivize the use of first rates entirely either. However, these limits, nevertheless, like crew and provisions and such, I think they're nice. However, we should also bring some proper uses to first rates, because while they'll be expensive, but we don't want to come in a situation where they're expensive and useless. So, let me know what you all think of this. Personally, overall, the big picture, I like it a lot, but like I said, fleets, no, you can go away, shoo. I don't like fleets. Early ranks, fair enough. AI capture, love it if that becomes a thing, although limited AI capture, this feature isn't necessary to make that work, so meh. But either way, what the devs have proposed in this, overall, I like. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Tell me why. Tell me what you would like to see changed, etc. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. And I'm gonna run away. Bye.